Good evening, everyone. This is the September 22nd, 2025 meeting of the Town of Barnstable's Comprehensive Financial Advisory Committee. In accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20F, any member of the public is welcome to record this meeting as long as they make themselves known. It is also available through the town. It is being recorded. Any members of the public present? Seeing none. We'll move on to a roll call to order. Jeremy?
Hector Gunther,
I'm here.
Tom Keen,
Present.
Chris King,
I'm here.
Chris Lauzon,
Here.
Frank Ward,
I'm here.
Lillian Wu,
Here.
and I am here.
All right. Have a quorum. See Councilor Lucky joined us. Welcome, Betty. No members of the public present, so I guess we'll bypass public comment. Move to the approval of the minutes from our last meeting, September 8th. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, we can get another roll call vote. Jeremy?
Hector Gunther,
Yes.
Tom Keen,
Yes.
Chris King,
Yes.
Chris Lauzon,
Yes.
Frank Ward,
Yes.
Lillian Wu,
Yep.
and I, Jeremy Shea, am a yes.
Excellent. All right, so right on to our main event, a review of the fiscal 26 overview report, which Tom has been slaving away on. I hope everyone got the most recent version of that.
Got it from you a couple of days ago, right?
And the
Yes.
19th, I think it's stated.
Right.
So I don't know if Mark, if you can share it on your screen and we can kind of go over it.
And while Mark is doing that, let me note that I ran this by Mark, and he had some changes to numbers. And one change throughout is that while for enterprise, for the enterprises, while personnel, that is FTE, is by department, the revenues actually are separate. So I think when I do another redraft of this, I will simply pull out the FTEs from the departments and put them separately on the enterprise funds along with the revenues for the enterprise funds. And that's it's a relatively straightforward change. I would have made it today, but I just didn't have the time. And then I would just send around a red line version so people could see those changes.
Okay.
Okay. Could I ask a question, Tom? So, what we see on the 12 pages of your Word file, that's what you propose to have included in the document, and there's no photograph on the front cover, and a variety of the charts.
No, there's no
been-
photograph. The charts are gone. It's mostly tables, I believe. I think
Right, right.
there's a map in there.
Right.
And this was kind of in response to a lot of the comments that were made at our last
Mhm.
meeting.
Right.
In addition, what this and the document Mark has up, by the way, shows Mark's red line changes to
Okay.
what which I just received today as well. But
Okay.
just to kind of go through what I did here, as I went through carefully the previous overviews, uh, we both we both we focus sometimes where there was a lot of focus on schools, but not on the other departments. And a reader would, I mean, a casual reader would not really know there are other departments aside from Barnstable Public Schools and the enterprise zones and the fire districts. So I added all of that in. Also, in response to Frank's observation, I added in FTEs so you can see them for the budget as a whole, as well as for each department. And so I both simultaneously added information, but also took a document that was 24 pages and reduced it to 12, which is where we really wanted to target, and was able to do that without making the point size of the down to 8. So it's a normal 11 point, which is what we've used before.
Okay, so just to be clear, anything that's not in here, you have not included. So for example, on the back page last year, we had the section on the AAA bond rating. You're not proposing to include that. The
Correct.
accountable and transparency.
The bond rating is mentioned in here.
I'm not contesting it. I'm just simply just clarifying that you're not anything you've omitted, you propose to leave out, which is
Right.
fine.
So
I just wanted to
yeah,
be
for
clear.
example, on the bond rating, the version we had last year mentioned the bond rating twice. I don't
Right,
think you need
and
to
you
do
made
that.
that point last meeting, so I get it. I'm just again, just clarifying what you intended to do. Okay, thanks. I thought it was a great job, by the way.
Let me,
Thank
I liked how you defined somewhere in here, you define what fixed costs are. Frank will be happy with that.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Frank.
Could I ask a quick question, though, that the document that's on the screen is different from the document we have?
So, yes. So what this reflects is the red line that you see there is material that was added by Mark.
So may I offer a suggestion that, like in the document that we got, if in the footer, it said draft 9/19/25, then this new one could be draft 9/22, so that we could all be certain we're on the same page.
Right. And again, I think Mark just made those changes today and didn't change that. That's all.
But this
I
new
think
version
it
has
notes
not,
that it's Mark's comments. If you look at the title there, you'll see it's Mark's comments, right?
yeah, but you haven't circulated this new version that's
I
up on the
have
screen.
no, I have not. I only received
Okay.
it today.
Okay,
And
good.
and what I can do is incorporate these changes into a new draft, which obviously would have a new date.
Okay.
I want to just interject before we get into it. This is probably the most comprehensive overview we've ever had. So it's just excellent. And all of the Hector, the AAA bond rating is on the front page, in case you missed it. But
I didn't, Lillian, I did not miss it. I was just trying to clarify what Tom was doing in his draft. It was clear to me. I saw it on the front page. I saw the listing of the committee members on the front page and stuff like that. So it's
yeah,
very clear.
it looks like you've incorporated everything from the drafts and more. And I really like the short descriptions of each of the topics, because they're clean, they're concise, they're easy to understand, and it's well presented.
Thank you, Lillian. I was also trying to be sensitive to, we had all been looking at, was it the financial presentation by some other town? Was it Newton? I can't remember what it was, but
Arlington.
Arlington, yeah. And just trying to make something that was a little clearer and cleaner to the average reader as opposed to the person who has a lot of financial expertise.
Is the intention that we'll go through page by page?
Fine by me.
However anyone wants to do it. I don't know if anyone has specific notes from different pages. I saw a couple of very minor grammatical things, but I mean, I think the document's exemplary. Honestly, I think it's a great job, Tom.
Yeah. Chris, what's the process from here in terms of timing? Will we review a final draft and vote at the next meeting? Is that the intention?
I would say at this point that would be the intention, yeah.
Which in that meeting is 3 weeks from now.
Is it
Is it?
because of Columbus Day, I guess, yeah, is that,
Right.
yeah.
It's 3 weeks from tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, it certainly won't take me 3 weeks to make any of these
Yeah,
changes.
yeah.
So,
So I would propose we just go over it page by page and get people's comments and that probably makes sense, although I don't think we need to do a detailed edit. I think Tom's
I think,
editorial competency shines through in the document.
yeah.
I think the document is excellent. I do have some suggestions that I'd like to offer to the group.
Go right ahead, please.
As an example, on page 1, just for consistency, as we try to educate the typical taxpayer or give them information, I'd like to suggest that in that top box, that rather than income, spending, and investments, to go to revenues, expenditures, and capital spending. The typical taxpayer thinks of income, but there really isn't. The town doesn't have income, and they think of investments as something that earns. But then we go on to explain that it's truly revenues, expenditures, and capital spending. Just a thought.
Well, I guess the definition of an investment is not necessarily always that which earns as a monetary value. We're investing in children, and that is an investment, but it's not necessarily something we quantify. So I do
But
like
we're-
the idea of investment versus capital.
But we're a finance committee, and I believe, well, I would recommend that we use financial terms. I do agree with you, we're investing in children, but we're presenting capital spending.
But if your argument is we're trying to get to the average voter also feels with a feeling. So we can have a balance of both.
I hear you, but if they try to find income anywhere in the 600-page financial statements of the town, it does not, the word doesn't exist.
Yeah, I definitely don't argue income. I'm just talking
I think
investments.
so the word investments is kind of slippery because capital spending may simply be replacing, a new truck with an old truck. So, and to say it as an investment implies that you're spending money to get a return, right? And
Right.
that's not really what's going on here all the time. Sometimes we are, spending money on a capital project that will yield a return of some sort, but a lot of this is just straightforward capital spending. And to your point, Jeremy, the investment, I get that when we have an operating, when we spend on BPS, that we are investing in our children, but I don't think that's what this is supposed to be about.
Well, I mean, some of it is a legitimate investment into the cultural heritage of the town,
Yep.
which
Yeah.
it is it's important. Like, people want the town's cultural heritage to be invested in, despite knowing it might not be monetarily.
Right.
This is spending that's going to
beneficial.
go onto a balance sheet as compared to investment in people.
Right. This is balance sheet spending. Oh, geez.
Well, that was
The investment that we're talking about in children is coming through operating expenditures. It's not coming through capital spending.
I would argue it's coming through both, but I think we're
Point
talking
made.
the majority of spending is not going to children anyways when it comes to capital projects. Well, might be.
You're not wrong. When we build a new school building, we're investing in the children, and I'm totally in favor of that. I'm just trying to come up with a finance committee using financial terms.
Yeah.
That's all that I'm trying to do. It's similarly like fiscal year. The majority of the world would use fiscal years as FY and then 2 digits. They would, throughout this document, we have 2026. It could just be FY26, just to eliminate as much or as many individual typesets as we can. That's just a thought.
So on this one, I'm going to disagree. I think from a casual reader's point of view, starting to be too much like what a financial report is confusing. I really like the fact that we use the real year as opposed to just the last 2 digits.
Well, the title of the report, which is an overview of Barnstable's income, spending, and investments, it was a new title. Our old title used to be just financial overview report. So, if you don't want to get too specific, you can just go back to the old title.
I agree with you. In the blue area, call it fiscal 2026, but throughout the rest of the document, you could refer to it as FY26.
Yeah, we've gone back and forth on that in various documents, I think, using all 4 digits or just the last two, but I don't think it really matters either way. I'd be fine with it either way.
Right.
I think you make a good point on the title, though, Frank. So since it is a
what,
financial document, we probably should change it to revenue, expenditures, and capital spending. I would be in favor of making that change.
I'm okay
I
with that.
also think Lillian's right. You could do an overview of Barnstable's, town financials or something like that.
Yeah, just go back to the basic one that we had before, which was financial overview report, fiscal year 2026.
Yeah, it's stated in the first paragraph of the document.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you can make it Town of Barnstable Financial Overview Report, fiscal year 2026. But
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
But I think it's good to break out revenues, expenditures, and capital spending. I think, that's what the financial overview consists of. So I'd be in favor of keeping the title as Frank's recommended.
But I think if you're a casual walker by and you see those three things and you're like, I'm not really sure what those are, you might just walk past it. And if you want to see more, and it was a more basic title, straightforward, I like the financial overview. There's a table of contents on the first page, and then you can see like, oh, here are all the things. So I think since we have a table of contents on the front page already, you don't really need a 3-part title.
I have a suggestion. If we change the title to Financial Overview Report, Fiscal 2026, in that first sentence, which says prepare this overview of the finances and operations, you can have a second sentence that says it includes revenue, expenditures, and capital. You could
I think that's
you
Great
could
idea.
drop it down into that the first paragraph.
So
And keep the title clean.
So give me that again.
After your first sentence, the report includes revenue, expenditures, and capital spending. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's good too. I like that.
okay.
Tom, can you add me to the committee unless it pushes us to another page? I don't.
Oh, your
Are you
name's
not in
not
there?
on there, Chris?
Jim is on there
no.
twice.
Oh,
Oh.
There you go.
Well, I mean, we have one Chris already. We don't need to have two, but
sorry about that one.
So, the problem is, Chris, that I wanted it to balance perfectly 4 on each side.
that's
But it
okay.
will,
You
but it,
you
Now
but
can,
it
you're
will
messing
balance.
that up.
you can
Yeah,
blind.
that's not a problem. My apologies.
Well,
No,
yeah.
you can blind copy me. It's fine.
That's my apologies.
Yeah,
No.
just you can take Jim out of the right-hand column.
All right, moving right along.
That's what happened there, right?
That's what happened. Yeah.
May I offer one additional, not to be controversial, but in the table of contents, if we took those numbers and blocked them so that you could see them in this, let's say in a block going down, to say you could see the 224. And I think both the revenue and expenditures are both 224.4.
Yeah, that's my mistake. Sorry about that.
So that my intention would be that the reader could quickly see that the general fund is roughly 225 million, enterprise is 53, the fire is 40. And then I have a question on the capital improvement plan, or the capital spending, as I would call it. I guess 140, I know I'm new to the process. I guess 141 was submitted, but only 100 was approved, is what I read.
Yes, I think it was 111.
So I
Right,
think we
so
would
I
want
would
to,
make that change, as I indicated, that that was the area where the numbers had been somewhat confusing. I believe that Mark has cleared that up in his red line.
Yeah.
Do we want
And
to,
I will adjust the table of contents to reflect that.
and I know that what the council approves is a capital improvement plan, but should we label that capital expenditures 143 million or whatever the number is? I don't feel strongly about it, but
it's the actual,
You could call it
annual.
capital spending if you want.
capital spending.
That's what we have been using otherwise, so.
Yep.
Okay. Other comments or suggestions?
On the first page, right?
Nope.
Whatever page you want.
Okay, I'm gonna push to the second page.
There you go.
Okay.
And it's in the paragraph under fiscal year 2026 capital budgets. It 1, 2, 3, fourth line down, it says way to the right, the enterprise zones. Are they
Funds, yep,
are
it's
they
funds.
zones or funds? Right.
Sorry.
Thank you. No,
I used to work on enterprise zones, which are a very different thing, but yeah.
that's okay. I'm no, you know,
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's,
no, thank you. That's a good catch.
yep.
yeah,
Okay.
I missed that too.
In that first paragraph where it says in the third line, this figure includes 9 enterprise funds. That 224 does not include the 53 million, correct?
Yeah, so that's a change Mark
Right.
made on this
Yeah,
one on the
and I'll
screen.
be, as I said earlier, I'll be making that change.
All right, thanks. Sorry, I'm having a hard time reading the thing on the screen.
that's fine.
So how about for consistency, any chance we could make all these numbers in millions in that center chart? You could input in whole dollars so your percentages
No,
don't change.
I can certainly do that if you want.
You would make it much easier.
How
for
many
the reader.
decimal points, Frank, would you put in?
Similar to the second chart, I would just have 1 decimal point.
Oh, okay.
So the town council will always round to either 0.2 or 0.3, but the number's not significant. It simplifies all the numbers on this page dramatically by taking off like 50% of the digits.
Yeah.
I think
Now,
that's,
the question I do have for you, Frank, is that when we go into the detail of general fund expenditures, department by department, if we're just doing in millions, you're going to be having just fractions. So it's going to be like, if you go to town council, it'll just be 2.2.
I agree with you. When you go to the details, I would go to thousands. As we drill down from millions down into thousands, so that if the people ever want to go back that far, but I think most people would just carry this one page. It gives them 224 million very quickly. The thing that's missing on this page, though, is the enterprise funds. I would add those. So it's consistent.
A question for you, Tom, is Mark going to go over the capital budget to make sure if there are changes to the 141.3, it'll be accurate?
Mark, would you like to answer that?
Yes, thank you. I looked at that today. Yes, I provided Tom the figures
Okay.
today with what was actually proposed, and then there were, I believe, 5 projects withdrawn. So what got
Right.
approved was slightly less than what was proposed.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I will make those changes.
Yeah.
So what's the number, just to have it in my head? Is it 100.8 or is it 100 and something else?
Around 100 million. Yeah, I think it's like the 100.8 you mentioned, like
Yeah,
101 million.
Yeah, that's what I thought I read, 100.8 or something. So thank you.
The FTEs were on the top of this chart with the title operating budget. Where have those gone, Tom?
Say that again. I'm not sure I'm
Where are
understanding.
you?
So on the draft that was sent around on the 19th, this operating budget chart, graph chart on page 2 had total FTEs on the top line.
Yeah, and
And
it
now,
does. I'm not. It does, and it will. I'm not sure why it's not showing there, Mark.
okay,
But it will show.
but yeah, and the FTEs, I would just propose whole numbers. I wouldn't put 1492.24 FTEs. I would just
So,
round to.
so I think I think it's important because when you're going to department by department, you know, the halftime people really do matter in terms of what they're doing.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I agree.
You can make a case that on this high level summary, you go to the round number. Then when you drill down, you give them more detail and add the point. The
Anyway.
theory being that this top level, if someone carried this around with them, they could quickly say, we have roughly 1,500 employees, we spend $225 million. And then if there was a section for enterprise below, it would list those 9 and say, here are the 9 enterprise funds we have, and we spend 53 million. And then the third thing would be a capital spending of roughly $100 million. And we might list some of the major components of it.
What are you proposing?
I'm proposing that the summary would dovetail with the table of contents, and it would have, you have the first number is the 224, or the second number would be the 53 for the enterprise funds. And the third number would be the fire districts, and the fourth number would be capital spending.
Yeah, I think Tom said he was gonna adjust that.
Sorry, I must have missed that.
Page 2 looks okay.
So is page 2 going to include the big picture of the enterprise funds?
Mm-hmm.
No. No, I think we just go for those separately and reference that.
My hope would be that the second page would be a reference someone might carry around with them for the year if you're a town councilor. It tells you the very big picture of the 224 plus the 53. It could also tell you the fire. It could also tell you the highlights of capital versus having to carry the 12 pages.
Well, they can just carry page 1 if they just want that number for each of those
Yeah,
as
they
a
can
reference point.
I
Yeah.
agree. They can figure it out.
They could, but it's just a suggestion. I'd say that you take in the first page of 224, and here you broke down to 224 into major components. Then we ignore the 53, then we ignore the fire, and then we go to the capital, and we break it into only 3 numbers. The theory being that you give them the very big picture on page 1, and then you're drilling down to the next level, and then down to the next level as you go further into the document. Just a thought.
Well, I think
Right.
that
I think it accomplishes it, just it can't all fit on one page, though,
Right.
to actually drill down into each of those individual things.
like it seems the numbers do need space to speak for themselves, and thinking it would be handy to have everything on one page might instead kind of lose what we are trying to do, which is still to be comprehensive.
And keep in mind too, I know Jim and, several others may be working on a shorter document as well after this that we had discussed, a more abbreviated version of our normal document. I think that was the goal, was to produce a really short document, 3 or 4 pages maybe, after producing this one.
Yeah.
I know we had discussed that as well. So that maybe could accomplish what you're looking for, Frank, with a
Sounds
shorter
good.
document,
I appreciate that. Thanks.
Yeah. I think we can move further down. Anyone? Something very minor on page 3 under other taxes. The 2.1 million for motel hotel taxes needs a period instead of a comma.
I was just doing it the European way.
Yes.
And I would recommend getting rid of the word scant.
Where's that, Chris?
Yeah, I
Right before
agree.
39.
Yeah, it is a
The word
little
scant.
editorial, yeah.
Line 3. I agree with you, Chris.
It's me again. And that first box where it says property tax, then other taxes, then other resources. How about next to the other taxes and other resources, we say see below, so they know that it's coming? Because I'm not a big fan of other, but if you're explaining it below, please show them how to get there.
So,
Well, he deals with it,
yeah,
those 3
it's all on one
categories,
page.
and
I'm
then
not
he and
sure.
then he and then he explains the 3 categories.
Yeah,
Just a suggestion that in the chart, it would say other taxes, see below, other resources, see below. Because
but how about with
Well-
property tax? Should I say see below too?
people understand property tax from the word. I mean, they can draw you a picture of property tax, draw me a picture of other. Nothing comes to mind for the reader. And I think that happens to the taxpayer as well as the town council.
I mean, if there's
I
room,
I
if
think the
there's
town councilors know more than you think, but all
if
right.
if there's room, Tom, just in parentheses, even in smaller type, just say see below. It looks like there's room in that column that, doing what Frank has requested makes sense.
Yeah, I
And
mean, I'm
and
not sure it's
I
necessary since it's on the same page. It flows right into that.
I think to say see below is redundant because he has the 3 categories and then he's got those 3 categories separately described. And they're in bold type, so
I'll give in, you win.
These are
It's
great suggestions, Frank.
I'm
it's
trying
all
for too
good.
much
It's
change.
all good discussion. It's all good
Yeah.
discussion.
Yeah.
How about any other resources if we put those in order of magnitude? And
well, the chart shows the magnitude of each of those categories. I think it's very clear.
so, for instance, the other it says other includes net income from enterprise funds on page 8. And that's right. Can you show
See
me?
page 8. The page 8 is where I discuss enterprise funds.
Yeah, what
I
is,
think
what that is, it's,
Where's net income on page 8?
There isn't net income on page 8. I'm just showing. I'm just if you don't know what enterprise funds are, you can read about them on page 8.
But it says others
Introducing it.
includes net income from enterprise funds. The
that's
word
really
net
enterprise
income, I
fund
guess,
chargebacks. Those are reimbursements to the general fund from the enterprise funds for the costs that are budgeted in the general fund, attributable to enterprise funds. Those are chargebacks. That's what that $4 million is.
so we just want to say income lowercase for enterprise funds
Or do you want to
instead
just
of
put a figure there of, income from enterprise funds totaling whatever amount. Instead of see page 8, if it doesn't give you that actual amount that you're referencing on page 8.
I don't think it does on page 8. It shows you
So
53
I
million.
assume that's your point, Frank, is just to have a clear amount in that space.
Exactly. I'm trying to figure out what number am I looking for on page 8. I see 53 million, and 53 million is not in, or is it in? Is it in the 53.9 million or the 58.2 million?
The chargebacks?
Um,
That's your
Yeah, so
question, Frank?
I'm trying to understand the components of the 58.2 million.
So
Right,
within
so
the,
do we
if I
want to
can
just put
jump
a
in
figure
here, Chris.
there for the chargebacks?
So intergovernmental is 30. So now I'm looking for 28. I see 8.4 drawing from reserves. So now I'm looking for 20. Is 20 somewhere on page 8?
I guess
Right, so what's the
I'm
number for the
lost.
chargebacks?
I'm lost with your math, Frank. What are you trying to figure out? What the
So,
enterprise fund chargeback is?
No, I'm trying to drill down the numbers. At the top of page 3 in that chart, it says other resources is 58.2 million. It's not going to say see below, but when you go below, it says other resources in that paragraph.
Yeah. Says
Funding
50.
relies on 58 million. The largest is 30.
Mhm.
All right. And then there's something comes from the enterprises, and then there's another 8.4. So is it 20 million that's coming from enterprises? I'm just trying to understand the components of the 58.2 million.
What,
Yeah.
And I'm
Mark,
saying,
go ahead, please.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah, the other components are the $4 million from the enterprise fund chargebacks, and then the rest is fees, licenses, and permits. It's a combination of about 150 different line items, all in the categories of fees, licenses, and permits.
Right. The enterprise fund piece is 4.1 million.
Investment income as well.
Yeah, so for the enterprise fund thing, I think to solve this, just put a figure there for what comes from the enterprise funds. And then
That's
the
what I'll
rest
do.
of it, there's so many different line items, you can't possibly address all of those. But those are the major single line items,
Yeah,
I think is what Frank's getting at.
yeah, I agree. If we could put in an income, a net income for the enterprise funds, that would clarify it.
In
Yep.
the parenthesis, put the number and then a semicolon and then say see page 8.
No,
I don't think you even need the
I
C
don't think
page
you
8, I
need
think
that
just a
because
number.
there's so
Okay.
much, yeah, there's so
Fine,
much on
fine.
page 8, it gets confusing.
That's fine. Okay.
Just cross out page 8 and put in a number.
Yep.
There you go. That solves that.
Okay, next. Are we on page 4?
I
I think so.
would say so.
That's all clean.
I mean, I think all these things are pretty straightforward.
So general fund expenditures. Mark, can you go back up to the top of page 4?
This is what I'm looking at for
Yeah.
page 4. It's general fund expenditures.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
and that will say 224.4, correct?
Correct.
Under town council, that sentence should be supports one, not supports on.
Right.
I'm not sure supports.
It says the
One.
town council budget supports on
It should
full-time
be the
equivalent
number
staff
1,
person.
yeah.
It used
Oh.
to say
Just
1.
need to add an E.
It had the E in the
Yeah, I'm not sure where that disappeared. I'm not sure how come that disappeared, but yeah.
Mark,
it's-
you're taking editorial license with Tom's work here.
No, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I did that one because it doesn't show an edit in my in the document here. So
That's odd.
Blame
Yeah.
me, blame.
Anyway, the version I have says 1. I'll keep it that way.
Gotcha.
there's a few
One
more hidden
full
gems
time.
in here.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of that stuff is good,
Yeah,
unless anyone has changes to those individual charts or anything.
no.
Actually,
Um,
this is
on the
Chris
left-
Clark.
Oh,
Hi, Chris.
hi, Chris.
Right.
How are you?
Hi,
Good,
Chris.
thank you. Thank you for all your particular attention to this document. Right up at the top of the page, under town manager, it says if the town council is oh no, oh yes, I'm sorry.
It's the paragraph beginning that headed town manager.
Yep.
Is that maybe if you can please scroll up a little more, please? Yes, thank you very much. On the first line, after general fund expenditures, your second sentence says they have to with a colon, Barnstable is required to balance. That's a little awkward.
And not only that, but that's not what I had. I don't think.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chris, but I'm not sure what happened there. All right, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's in the version that you had circulated
Okay,
as
yeah.
well, Tom.
Yeah,
Well,
we
I
can-
think, sorry, my point was that the town's required to balance its budget so that expenditures have to match revenues.
That's a good
So maybe-
statement, just the way
Yeah,
it
so
is.
just reword that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll see if I can.
Maybe just say under state law, Barnstable is required to balance its budget annually.
well, th-
Or just take
Barnstable,
out
not-
they have to.
they have to. It's required.
But you could take out the words they have to, and then the Barnstable is required to balance the budget annually, it would say it all.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Just curious, the thought popped into my head. Do we want to include how much town council and town manager make? I mean, I think that might be a one line item on there, but it could be interesting for the public. Just a thought.
Well, I
Yeah,
think
I mean, you could put the town councilor stipend on there, I suppose, and the town manager obviously is not being paid $1.4 million. That's for the whole department. But
I think once you start introducing compensation, Jeremy, does that will it seem unusual that we just pick out the counselors and the town manager without picking out department heads or whatever? I'm just posing that as a question.
Yeah, that's a good counter question.
yeah, it does raise consistency, questions if you're
I
just
mean,
pointing out
all of
one specific thing.
Yeah, if anyone wants to look up salaries are public documents, and they can look them up.
Yeah, my thought is if someone looks at that and says town council, how many counselors are there? Let's divide that number. Like, is that the thought? And I guess just that one.
Yeah, the line
What is the
above it
town council
says,
budget?
yeah, that's the budget, total budget, including I think the 10K that each of them gets. I have a separate question. Under the paragraph under town manager, it says government access television, PEG. What does PEG stand for?
Public, educational, and government.
It says so right in the document.
Says
Hector.
that in the sentence, yeah. Public, educational, and government access
Oh,
television. Yep.
PEG.
On that
Okay.
same thought, the PEG though, isn't it part of an enterprise fund?
Right,
And
which is why we have
so-
the change here. As I discussed earlier, I'm going to start moving those separately to the enterprise fund.
So that the whole line
Will change, right.
Well,
Okay.
I wonder if we could, if the chart showing town manager, if you want to put executive branch, so the public will not think that the town manager is making $1.4 million. It's explained very carefully and clearly above that. But if somebody doesn't read it and just looks at town manager, I'm just wondering whether it would
I mean, it spells out that there's 19.5, employees, full-time
yeah,
equivalents there.
or
So,
whatever it is. Yeah, the 19.5 employees.
yeah,
Right.
so I think that's clear enough.
But I agree that the title is also a person. There isn't really any other categories on that when we encounter this, which is why it does make it a little like there is a person called the town manager.
Right.
And I think
I know.
that's the title.
That's unfortunately the way it is in the budget presentation.
Yeah.
If
Mark,
we change town manager to town administration, would that solve the problem?
Well, we've got
it would, and then
administrative
the next
services.
thing is administrative services.
Yes, let's
So,
change it
I
to
mean,
town administrative services.
you could say town management if you want.
Yes,
In the paragraph of the sentence at the very beginning where it says below are each of the major expenses, if it said they're major departments, because these are town department, not names, aren't
Right.
Yes.
Yes, good point.
so if we label them as each below are each of the major departments, and then therefore the titles below are all department titles and not people.
Good thought.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, we should leave the titles the way they are since that's how they appear. So I think that's fine.
I'll see if I can just add in something to be clear that
yeah,
So when Peg moves out of this, do a lot of the 19.5 people move as well?
yes,
And it'll be a
but
significantly
the
smaller number
dollars won't
too.
change. The
Right.
dollars won't change. So one of the things that was confusing and confused me is that the PEG employees were included in the town manager, but the PEG dollars actually are not. I'm not sure why,
Hmm.
but what I will do is make it clear. I'll pull out the employees because I know the PEG employees. I'll pull out the employees. So then you'll only be seeing town manager department employees and spending, and PEG will be separately displayed later on in the document.
Yeah,
as
just to
custom.
clarify, as I don't think the PEG employees are any more than maybe 5.5.
Oh yeah, no, I can get you the number, but no, it's not a lot.
It's not a lot. I would just want to make sure that it was stated correctly. That's all.
why don't we just call it town manager's budget as the title for that one? Because you refer to it when you're talking about the PEG. It's just a suggestion.
So I like Frank's suggestion of going back to the first paragraph and say major departments. And then, Tom, these departments are departments that ride throughout other documents that are public
Right.
documents. And
I will,
I think Mark has a fairly large financial document that utilizes the same titles.
so it may make sense just to be clear to the reader that when you call it the town manager department. I'll
Yeah.
also put departments up above too, instead of expenses.
Good
But
idea.
just on this one, add department, just so people know.
Yep, good idea.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah, that's perfect.
All right.
The
We can
the
move
rest looks
past
clean.
that.
Yep,
We on to page 5,
yep.
community services.
I like the way that each of these is described. The public gets a really good idea of what's included.
So again, how does this, I'm sorry, you folks, when you went through the budget, you probably know all this, but how does this again relate to the enterprise funds? So
So
there's a chunk
again,
of,
to repeat, so this was my error, okay? And the enterprise funds are the way that, like on community services, the way the budget presents it is the dollars do not include enterprise funds, but the FTEs do include the enterprise funds. On my revision of this, the dollars won't change, but I will pull out the FTEs that are related to, say, golf and HYCC.
Right.
Yep, got it.
Okay.
I think that page is fine. Yeah.
Yep. Are we on to page 6?
I think page 6 is fine as well.
I think so.
And it is, I'm glad, the schools need a little more attention than a lot of the other things, so it's good that that takes up most of the page.
Well, it's a very clear explanation. As well as page 7.
Yeah, I think those are fine.
Yeah.
Bottom of page 6, Tom, the bottom paragraph, you use the word delving. I think maybe I would change that to only by utilizing 1.3 million in past savings. Delving doesn't seem to be the right word. Just a thought. You like delve?
I love delving.
I think Hector's right for a financial document, utilizing might be a more appropriate term.
or just using or
Or
utilizing.
using, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'll just use using.
I like I like how you focused on non-BPS education here. I think this will be very helpful. Charter schools, school choice, regional school.
And again, we have no choice on this stuff, so to
Yeah.
speak. We have no
Yeah.
choice on school choice, but
Yeah.
do we know how many students actually go to the regional or the charter or through school choice? How many students are leaving Barnstable on these 3 categories? Do we know?
we certainly know in the sense that it's in the budget, the large budget. I couldn't give it to you off the top of my head. When we are assessed, we're assessed, based upon the number of students.
So 15 million students or $15 million worth of education is not going through the high school.
So some of it is also going to a regional school that we
Yeah.
are also paying into. But yes,
Right.
there's a lot that are going outside of that.
But we pay based on the number of students utilizing the regional school.
Yes,
I
exactly.
know in charters we do, and probably school choice. School assessment, Mark, do you know the answer to that?
The regional school assessment is based on enrollment.
Okay.
All those figures are available in the budget document. I think the regional school, and they're all based on October 1st enrollments, okay? So they have to be submitted to the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education every year as of October 1. And then those enrollment figures are used by the Commonwealth for charter school assessments. And then the regional school assessment uses those enrollment figures for their assessments for the member towns, for the Cape Cod Tech High School, And school choice is also based on actual enrollments or sending the number of students we send out to other districts.
Right. So this is your budget, Mark, and then it eventually gets trued up depending on actual enrollment.
Yes, they will change. Yeah, especially in the school choice area. Sometimes that happens. That one's always getting trued up at the end of the year. Regional is pretty doesn't really get trued up. It doesn't need to be, but the charter school and the school choice, there always is an adjustment in the fourth quarter by the state.
Okay.
So if we spend roughly $20,000 per student, is it safe to say that there's somewhere around 750 Barnstable children going to these regional charter or school choice?
I don't think it's that high up. Again, off the top of my head, I'm not quite sure of the exact numbers, but I think it was, don't quote me on this, 194 going to Cape Tech, 340 approximately public charter schools, most of that being Sturgis, but there's some Cape Light charter, down Cape, there's another charter school. And I can't remember what the school choice, it's around 100, I think, students choosing to go elsewhere.
And does that also
So-
include out of district placements for kids that are in like specialized, or that's in the other budget?
Yeah, that's in the schools
Okay.
population. It's not in any one of these three categories.
That's in BPS.
So further to Frank's question, so if you scroll up to the bottom, top of page 6, the header Barnstable Public Schools, the second paragraph subhead is enrollment. Could we have a similar subparagraph under non-BPS education? Could we have a little subhead saying enrollment? And Mark, could we get the figures for each of those with that? I think that would add, I think it would, Frank asked a good question. So
Yeah,
just
so
a thought.
So the assessments for FY 26 that we just talked about, that'll get trued up at the end of the year, will be based on October 1st, 2025 enrollment data, which we won't have for another 6 to 8 weeks. School districts are submitting them now, so I don't know what those are. I know what Cape Cod Tech used for our FY 26 assessment. It was based on October 1, 2024. They're always a year behind. So I know that number, and that number is good. That won't change. But I can get if you're interested, I can get to the enrollment figures for October 1, 2024 for all three categories.
I think that would be, I think that would add a little something, because people would have a sense of 14.8 million, 0.9 million fiscal 2026. This covers enrollments of total of X students. So
And those
I think it'd
figures
be,
are all based on the 2024 numbers, Mark, for each of those categories?
No, that's the problem.
no, that's the
only
problem.
only the regional charter school is.
Okay.
Commonwealth charters and school choice will be based on what happens in fiscal year 2025 or 2026.
Right. So how did you arrive at those numbers then?
I assume you'd use an
assessment?
estimate.
Those are estimated assessments that we receive from the state.
Oh, from
We
the
can
state.
come up with those numbers.
But based on last year's numbers,
Yes,
or?
yes, and then they project what any enrollment changes that might occur for the new fiscal year, and they send us those assessments on our cherry sheet as a charge that we have to pay for.
Right. Okay.
So my suggestion, Mark, if you just feed those 2024 numbers to Tom and then see if he can figure out an artful way to put in enrollment figures without misleading. I think
Actually,
that'd be
Mark,
helpful.
if Mark, if you would just give me 23, 24, 25, and 26, I'll add them to the table and make a note that which years are estimates.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Thank you. I think the taxpayers are very interested in that type of information. Thank you.
So I'm interested to get Frank's comments on the other requirements page and the reference to fixed costs. Is this, does this do it for you, Frank? Incorrectly called fixed costs? Do you agree with that?
I think the compromise that we had at the last meeting was that next year, we're going to try to redistribute this, because I know Gareth said he does have the information, but we don't want to redo everything that you did during this last budget process. So I will remain silent on fixed.
Okay, okay.
Right. I mean, the only one that you could redistribute obviously would be the employee benefits.
Correct.
Just one comment. Do we want to say they're sometimes incorrectly called? Or how
Well,
about
I
if we
don't want,
just, how about if we just say sometimes are referred to or sometimes referred to as fixed costs?
I think it's
Whether,
important to say it's incorrect.
okay,
I think that's, I agree with Frank on this one, that it's been, sloppy language.
okay, you want to take out the word sometimes? Just,
No,
or do you
because
want?
not everyone does. I mean, for example, our finance department does not incorrectly call it fixed costs. They call it other requirements. So
Okay,
some people don't make it call it fixed costs.
okay, okay. I withdraw the comment.
All right. So
So sounds like that's fine as is.
Okay.
I need to step away for a second. I got a puppy downstairs barking. I'll be right back.
Okay.
what I'm gonna try to do
Are
under
we
the
now
next
at
section,
enterprise funds?
yeah, what I'm gonna
Page
try to
8?
do here is add in FTEs
Where are you doing it?
on enterprise funds. I'll try to. I do wonder if whether the reserves is all that. Whether I
Important.
really need a table for that, and think that FTEs might be the more interesting one to put in there.
I agree with you, Tom, because when people see reserves, they're going to think they have $39 million they could recommend that we spend, and that's definitely not the case.
Yeah. I mean, I'll have some text on it, but
Yeah, I think FTEs would be more beneficial there for sure.
I agree.
Yeah.
Where are you putting these FTEs now? I'm sorry.
I'll either it's a separate chart or I may just, like under airport enterprise, I may have dollars and then FTE, something
Right,
like that.
right. I gotcha.
You want to try to put these in millions as a possibility, though, to simplify?
Yeah, I probably will. Although, yeah, I mean, you can. Sometimes like the change in dollars gets hidden then, the marina won't
You
appear.
can input in whole dollars and then display in millions. And
No, I know
I
I
guess the
can.
change will
I
be
know I can.
0.7. You'll still get 0.7. You're right. Some of the others will round to zero.
You're right.
So maybe you go to the thousands if you prefer.
Okay. We can go to the next page unless there's more comments on enterprise funds.
No, it looks good. I
Okay.
like the reserves that Chris King had drafted for the enterprise funds. I think that's very helpful.
But to Frank's point is that the reserves are not really up for debate on how to spend. It is up to the enterprise to determine how to spend the reserves.
Exactly.
So I think if it's presented as a reserve or as profit, however you want to look at it, it's not profit or reserves that is up for debate. It is part of the enterprise.
So,
Now,
Mark,
Frank,
Mark,
could
could you weigh in on that? Because I'm not sure that's correct. The town could decide to use those reserves for other purposes, right?
Yeah, I
Ah.
mean, I think the key point here is that, we can't sweep them into the general fund and using the balance of general fund operating budget. The reserves stay with the respective enterprise fund and they're there for a purpose. Fee mitigation, working capital, one-time expenditures, perhaps for like capital, for a capital project and things like that. Similar to what you would have a reserve fund for the general fund. You have a reserve in each enterprise fund for the same reasons. Fluctuating revenues. Golf, they get most of their revenue, in one quarter of the fiscal year. So, as they make their payroll and vendor payments throughout the year, their cash balance goes down. And so we need working capital for the golf enterprise fund. And other enterprise funds are like that as well. Solid waste, of course, with the residential transfer station sticker renewals occurring in the months of June and July.
So wasn't
we
Tom's
want-
suggestion to take this out and replace the space with FTEs?
Yes. I can't do both. I can't have both tables. What I can do is
would
I
go
can
with Tom's
discuss the
suggestion.
reserves, but
Yeah,
I won't
we-
be able to.
Yeah, I think just mentioning the reserves is adequate. You don't need a chart there.
What we could do, what would help in the discussion of the reserves is to explain where the reserves come from. I mean, they just don't magically appear. They are the net after their operation. So I think it would clarify it a little bit if we explain where the reserves come from.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep, I understand what you're asking.
Yeah.
Have you ever discussed reserves in the past and tried to explain that to people? Because I just, this is a very difficult topic for people to digest. I'm not certain you'd ever even want to bring it up. Just make reference.
You
Not,
mean the
not,
reserves?
yeah, reserves not publicly, Frank, that I know of. This was the first year that we actually showed reserves to the council.
Right.
And now, Mark, your budget and your budget presentations goes into this in gross detail, which we should do, but not in a abridged version like we did for the town council, and not trying to employ it here for the public. I've only had 1 year here, so I might be wrong. But I think that's the case, Frank. So I agree. Showing reserves is a very complicated issue to show for the general public. What does it mean to have $2.5 million in reserves? Can't we spend that to make the golf course more pristine, so to speak?
And I guess they could.
And they could, if that's how the golf course committee decides to run the golf course as an enterprise.
Yeah, well,
And it's not, I mean, it's not up to the CFAC to be able to make those recommendations or decisions, but showing that the reserves are there has an opportunity to educate the public, but also has the opportunity to create questions that CFAC can't answer.
I suggest that we use Chris King's wording from his operating budget report. What he says is the enterprise fund reserves are excess revenue and earnings from each fund to be used for capital projects and balancing the operating budget or other approved needs. And that is clear. I think the residents would understand what that is.
Does it say over a period of years? Because it's not just 1 year's excess, right?
No, it's over a period of years. It's cumulative. If you need it, you can dip into it. If you don't need it, you can let it grow.
It's the balance at the end of every fiscal year. It's a snapshot in time. The reserves
Right.
get certified as of every July 1. So it's just a snapshot in time.
And the purpose of showing that to the council, town council, was to show the solvency of the enterprises. And each enterprise being run as a business is being run very, this is, me saying this, but being run very well financially.
Tom, Chris King's description of the enterprise fund reserves is on page 27.
Yeah, I have it,
You
Lillian.
got it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think something like that is certainly adequate, just to mention it, explain
Yeah.
what it is, and move on. Don't need to
Yeah.
provide the actual numbers or anything else. I think we
Okay.
can move on to fire districts then.
That's clean.
That's pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Yes. So Tom, on the fire districts, I think we should stress the fact that each district is a separate legal entity, independent legal entity, separate from the town of Barnstable. So I would propose we break up the first sentence. Barnstable contains 5 separate fire districts, period. Each is an independent legal entity separate from the town of Barnstable. I think that just emphasizes, the fact that these are not, these have nothing to do with the town from a governance standpoint. So that's just a word change I would make in the first sentence there.
Yeah,
Any,
I think that's good.
any chance that we could put a chart in that lists the 5 and shows the spending trends and headcounts? As compared to, I don't know of anyone that, at least in my circles, have never asked what the fire district tax rates are. But I do hear people wondering how much each one spends and how many people they have.
I was also curious about that. So that was
the
FTEs, I think, would be good to have on there.
So Mark, is that info? Do you guys have that info, or would you have to go to each of the districts to collect it?
You'd have to get the FTEs from all the districts. We do have their tax rates, but I don't have their
Yeah.
headcounts.
But I think at the bottom of this the second half of this page, we got a lot of room. So I think if we could get that data, I think it would be helpful to have.
It's something like the format that I suggested to the group there at one point. And maybe we could say the number of residents served. That gives the relative magnitude that we have some larger districts that are spending 15 million and others that are spending 2.
I mean, I'm unaware of where we can get that data.
It would have to come from each individual fire district.
Right.
Yeah.
So you'd have to contact each of them.
We don't do census by districts. It's census data is all town.
That's
How you would get census data by residents in each fire district.
Well, I assume each district knows how many properties they serve and how many residents, and do they have that data or no?
They probably have the number of properties served, yes, but residents, I don't think they would
Yeah,
have
well, I
that.
think number of properties served would be beneficial, maybe, but
If I may,
obviously Katuitt is the smallest district, and then Calm is the biggest, and Hyannis serves the most people, obviously, but
Chris Clark,
no.
you
Yeah.
know a little bit about the West Barnstable district.
yes, thank you. I would say that might not be a factoid that might have real value, because some properties like the Cape Cod Community College serves a large number of people at one time. Cape Cod Hospital, the same. So the parcels aren't going to be equivalent when you represent the number of water and wastewater demands that each makes. Just wanted to put that out there.
That's a good
That's a
point.
good point. Yeah.
We've got major commercial operations that are fed by the,
yeah.
Our entire commercial 95% of our commercial properties are probably in Hyannis,
Yeah.
the big ones.
Would it be, Chris, do you think it would it be helpful to the readers of this document to know what the budget is for each of the districts and the number of FTEs for each district? Would that really add much? I mean, we see the tax rates, so I guess we could.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. For example, in the village of Barnstable, they're making a very aggressive capital improvement project, two of them actually, a new water filtration system, I think they did a year or so ago, and now they're building a new fire station. So that they're in a different financial pressure than
Yeah,
say West Barnstable is right now. And I'm hearing from the from the constituents there saying, geez, we're not going to support any override because our taxes just went through the roof due to the new fire station we're building. So that's
yeah,
what I heard. So I'm not so
yeah,
sure trying to attribute that to FTEs or number of parcels. I'm not sure that's an apples to apples kind of comparison. I'm just suggesting.
yeah. Last year, we had a chart mark total fire district tax in 2024, 40.7 million. It broke it out by each of the 5 districts, with Hyannis at 15 million being the largest. Where did those figures come from?
Tax rate recapitulations, we have access to those. And we have that information for FY25, but we don't for 26 yet because they haven't completed their tax recaps.
Yeah. So I guess, after this conversation, I guess this is, I think what we've got here is sufficient for the fire districts. That's my opinion.
It's not what the taxpayers are asking when you have discussions, that they don't know much about what's happening here. And in this chart that we're giving them, we spend $40 million and the tax rates are 21112. That doesn't tell them anything.
So,
Yeah.
so Hector, I was going to ask, in looking into the fire districts, do each fire district have a site that is available that shows the financials that we would be able to link to this document?
Well, that's a great question. I think each district, the web presence for each of these districts is quite different. So, but yes, each one does have a website for the fire district. However, you have a complication because some of them have a separate, for example, Centerville, Oswell, Marsters Mills also has a separate website
Water.
for the water
Right.
department.
Mhm.
So, so here's Chris, your question is a good one. Why don't I take a look at the websites for each of these and see if I can come up with anything that might be useful in terms of putting links in here to each of the sites. So if people want to go get more information, they can.
That's
Well, I think each one of them
that's a great
prepares an
idea.
annual, they prepare annual reports, right? And there are
Yeah.
audited financial statements, I believe, for each one.
Yeah, again, it's different, and some of them mix up the water department, some don't.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
the accessibility of those documents is very
yeah,
inconsistent because
yeah,
they are all independent
yeah.
entities.
So Chris, if it's okay with you and with the rest of the committee, let me do a little digging and then I'll reach out to Tom with whatever I find, and then we can talk about it at the next meeting. My
Yeah.
goal is to try to provide links to more information in case people, as Frank says, want to go to find more information.
Great
That would
idea.
be great.
Great
Yeah.
idea.
The
I
hope is
wonder.
that we summarize something as compared to that. What I hear is people saying they can't find it. You have to go to 5 or 6 different things. It's mixed with a bunch of stuff. So
Yeah.
the thought being that maybe this group could sift through it and come up with something that helps the taxpayer understand what the
Yeah.
spending is about.
The problem is consistency. I don't know if they're all in fiscal years like the town is and so forth. Hey, puppy, don't do that. I've got a 1-year-old puppy scratching on, can anybody see the dog in the picture?
No.
No.
No, okay.
But yeah, if you want
so-
to go through that and see if you can draw
Yeah,
any significant information, Hector.
yeah, and I'll reach out to Tom and I'll copy Mark and Chris on whatever I find.
Appreciate it. And I do agree with you, making it very clear at the beginning that these are all independent government entities is important.
Yeah,
And I don't know if we want to change that second sentence too. It says often the source of controversy. I know sometimes it can be, but I don't know if often is the right word.
yeah.
Um,
It's a value judgment that we've put in here that works.
yeah, I would say it can be or has been maybe, but can
Yeah.
be I think would be better.
Yeah. And Tom, you say it's a rarity. Tom, do you or Mark know how many other of the 350 towns in the state of Massachusetts have fire districts separately configured like Barnstable does?
It would take some research to do that, but it's probably maybe a couple dozen out of 351.
Yeah, it's very few. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Okay. Well,
and Chris, I agree with you about the language. Is just be careful with the language, because I know the fire districts are, I went through the academy, and when we went to the fire districts, I raised my hand and I asked that question: is why are there 5 different districts? And I was in Hyannis, and boy, I got a real cold response.
That's a
And
dangerous question to ask at the fire departments.
it's a
Yes.
very dangerous question, and
So-
I just think there's a lot of what he ended up saying is that the town did have a vote on this. I don't know exactly when, and decided to keep the fire districts the way that they are. So the town there was a referendum, is that the right word? Where the town voted on this?
Is that right, Lillian? Do you recall
No,
that?
that's not right. They were always independent fire districts.
So then he just kind of pushed me off by saying
Well, the
that.
town
So-
may have voted at one point, but it's very unclear. So
Yeah,
they've
I
been
don't- I don't-
independent
I-
for a long, long time. But
Yeah.
Yeah,
So Chris,
Also, I'm
We're
trying
not
to
trying
say
to-
it is a very there is defensiveness towards this.
yeah.
That's all.
So Chris, I've been on CFAC since 2018, and I seem to recall in the spring of 2018 at a meeting, I sort of raised the question, why do we have these duplicative districts and 5 sets of costs? And I was, not quite shouted down by other members of CFAC, but I was told this is a sacred cow. It's like they say, what is it? Health insurance or Social Security is the third rail of American politics. I think in Barnstable, the fire districts are the separate rail.
But just if I may, my desire to have more information, I'm just interested in knowing, but I don't want to undo what the town has done and just.
Right.
No.
The fire departments, I mean, I had a chance or had to use COM several times with my wife's illness. They are absolutely tremendous.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely tremendous.
I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. And it's not a point of trying to tear it down. It's more a point of trying to understand. And I think that's what you're saying, Frank, is let's just
Yeah.
get the information and present it.
Exactly. They're absolutely tremendous. And I would just like to understand the numbers. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. All right. I'll see what I can find out, and I'll feed it to Tom.
Yeah. And I
have-
believe, by the way, that there are 26 Massachusetts fire districts, 5 of which are, of course, in Barnstable. So there's another 20.
So AI told you that?
No, a report actually from the West Barnstable Fire District.
Okay.
Oh, good. I'm glad you found it there. By the way, the West Barnstable Fire District's website is relatively stale, so I would forewarn you on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I've been trying to nudge that an upgrade for many years, and we're now into a new fire chief, and that's not moving too fast.
Yeah. Okay,
I have
Okay.
I have a suggestion that we strike often the source of controversy.
Yes,
Just stay out of there.
yes.
It's not necessary. We're not going to win it,
Nor are we going to change it.
nor are we going to change it. So if you could just take that second sentence and rework it.
Yeah, I would rework it. I think often is the wrong
Yeah.
word there. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
So-
oh, not even the source of controversy.
yeah.
well,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it has been, so I think it's fair to say it can be the source of, or maybe source of misunderstanding, or something like that.
Of confusion.
Confusion. That would
I
be
would
good.
say
Yeah.
the source of confusion. If you have to have it, otherwise I would suggest that we just get rid of it. We're not going to
It's
change.
it's a value judgment. I'm not sure it's appropriate in this
It's not
document.
necessary for us to say this.
Just
It's
take out the words "and often the source of controversy." Everything else is factually
Yeah.
correct. It is a rarity, and they're not accountable to the town. This is
Yeah.
just the
Correct.
fact.
Yep.
yeah.
I would note that the
just
current
say-
discussion we're having shows that it's controversial.
Yeah, just cut it into 2 sentences. That's my
Or
All
how
right.
about we
So I
say source of controversy and a drain on Barnstable residents' wallets?
I think that might make it worse.
That will clearly make it worse.
So
When
I
you
think-
need them and they come, you'll pay any. They're worth. It's
There you
well
go.
worth what we
I-
spend. They come rapidly.
And if you turn on your tap and you need water and it flows and it's fresh, clean water, we should be happy.
That's it. So yeah, if you want to rework that, Tom, that's
Yeah, just
fine.
rework that second sentence and cut it into 2.
So I think we can move on to the CIP page.
Can I have one final thought? Sorry.
One
We
final thought.
We don't have a lot of graphics in this report, and we do have a map here. And I do think there is a potential to add numbers to that map, whether it's budgets, but it is fairly unique in its position. So it could be used maybe to convey some more financial information.
Yeah.
I would be
if we
happy
can-
to add financial information if that information were available, which
Yeah.
is
So
the source
that's
of the
my
controversy.
job.
Yeah, but I
That's
think
my-
just if it were to be available, the map might be
Yeah.
a nice place to put it.
Sure, there's
Yeah.
plenty of
Place
space.
it
You don't
right
even
on
have
the
to put
map,
it on the
yeah.
map.
That space.
Yeah,
Good idea.
Okay.
Put the numbers right in the map when we get them.
Yeah.
there you go. Good idea. All right, so CIP. Any comments on that?
Yes.
as I
the,
mentioned
1,
that-
2, 3.
No,
The 4th paragraph, the one that starts town manager. 2nd line, April and May. It should be 2026.
Well, they didn't vote in April or May of 2026 yet.
Oh,
so-
no, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're correct. Woo.
What were you gonna say, Tom?
just that, the numbers are going to change. I also changed this to earlier this year, Lily, in response to that comment of yours.
Right.
Or early in 2025.
Right, it is 2025.
Okay.
I'll say voted in the spring.
So we're going to run with a 100.8 throughout our document because that's what was approved, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Do we want to call this capital improvement plan, or do we want to label this capital expenditures or capital
So I
spending?
think we already agreed, because I've made this change, it's going to be capital spending.
Okay, good.
Okay.
And is it going to be 100 million.8?
Yes.
Okay.
So just for clarification, this massive document that says fiscal year town manager's proposed operating budget, that's not the approved budget?
No,
Something else is
No.
approved, and there's another document of approved?
The town council ends up approving.
Right,
What
the town manager
town
makes the
manager recommended
proposal.
66, yeah.
So
then the
there's
town
there's
council
500
approves.
and there's 600 pages of what the town manager submits, and then we print another 600 pages of what's approved.
Well, it's
Mark.
less than 600 pages. They don't approve it all. So,
So, okay,
so Mark
so
could
there,
answer that better.
I guess I
Yeah.
have the wrong document because I have the hard copy of the town manager's proposed, and that's not the real budget. That was the proposed, and there's another
That
document
was the
subsequent to that.
proposed budget.
Are you looking at the proposed operating budget, Frank? That sounds like you are.
I have one
He's
that
looking-
Gareth gave it to me. It says town manager's proposed operating budget.
Yep.
But I guess there's another one subsequent to that that's the approved budget.
Nope, because that budget right there got approved with no changes.
Oh, well, there you go.
So,
That's
So you
not
can just
always the
change the
case,
title.
though.
You can scratch the proposed off and replace it with approved if you'd like. But yeah, we don't publish another document.
that's
So
good news, Mark. So
so
when I go to capital spending in here, it will total 100.8.
That's operating budget, right, Frank?
That's the operating budget. The capital budget is a separate document. I don't know if Gareth gave you one of those.
Right? Sorry, I assumed in that big document that capital spending was in there somewhere. My mistake.
Yeah.
I'm still learning.
All good.
We all are.
All right.
Frank, you could get
So-
a hard copy of the capital improvement budget if you like.
I actually might have it. Gareth gave me a lot of documents that day. He was very helpful. So back to page 10, is there any chance we could list some of the big items in that 100.8 as a list?
We certainly could.
I would be in favor of that.
Yeah, there's space there. I mean, you can add some of the major projects for sure. Okay.
Okay.
So on to page 11, CWMP. Which I think, I mean, this, again, fairly straightforward. It goes over what's being done.
Yeah, we just need to add the link in the second paragraph.
Yeah, and Mark has
Yep.
provided that.
And
Okay.
that third, if I may, the third paragraph where it says cost, in the last two sentences, the current estimate for 26 to 30 was 332. The new estimate is lower than the plan, the estimate of 432. So it's come down by 100 million because why?
Yes.
Because we delayed implementation? It can't be, I don't think it's because things got cheap.
No, this is 25 through 29. That 5-year period included a large $110 million project. They got approved for funding in FY25. So the FY26 to FY2030 plan doesn't have that project in it. So it's much smaller because that large project got moved off the schedule after it was approved in 2025.
What project might that have been, just for my own edification?
Nitrogen removal and headworks project out at the Bursis Way facility.
I wonder if that last sentence should just be eliminated. It's pretty confusing.
That may be a good compromise.
Yeah, I don't know if it really adds anything. It's kind of misleading to say that the costs, are lower. It's
That's
not,
what
it's just
people
a
think,
large
right.
project happened in 25, which isn't happening in the next 5 years. So yeah, I would eliminate that sentence, I think.
Which sentence are we eliminating?
That last one under cost, the new estimate is lower than the prior
Okay,
5-year.
yeah.
Yeah, just keep in mind when you're talking about capital budgets versus operating budgets, the reason why you do separate capital budgets from operating budgets is because of the large fluctuations in dollars from year to year. So you don't want to combine them with your operating budgets. That's why communities do separate capital budgets because of those fluctuations. So this is an example of large fluctuation here. Can you imagine if that was part of the operating budget? DPW's budget would look like it's going down 110 million in the next fiscal year, and that would look like a cut. So that's why we do separate budgets. Just wanted to make a note of that.
May I ask a question about the connecting homes to the sewer? If I could, we list that there are three components: the assessment, the cost to connect, and then the user fees. Could we then describe all three of them? So the assessment's number one, it capped at 10, the connection, and then could we make a comment about annual use averages? Some
We don't
Yeah,
know.
the average annual resident, if you want to throw that in there right now, it's around $450.
just so we address all three, so that these are the questions that I hear from people. What will the assessment be? What will happen? And we could have a range. People are afraid of the connection cost, but I know of, well, I have it third hand that someone's connection cost was only $2,000. It was flat and it was short.
Yeah, I think you
That's-
make a good point. There's three things laid out there. There should be an explanation of all three. So just a brief thing covering use fees, average use fees would be fine, I think.
Okay.
And what a assessment is.
Yeah, so it does have the sentence about the assessment there, which is capped at 10,000.
But it doesn't say what it is.
What it is, yeah, because then I'm sitting there Googling what's an assessment.
What's the language you would like to see?
Tom, I would refer you to the Water Resources website that we have that includes a description of all of these costs, and maybe you just want to take it from there.
Okay.
Okay. And then on to looking ahead. We've
So,
got-
so I have a couple of comments on this, Tom. I like what you did. However, you left out last year we had 8 bullets and there's 6 bullets here. You left out a bullet regarding zoning housing units for low and moderate income
Yeah, and
families.
I pulled that because quite frankly, that's not our job.
Right,
To
but
start
in
talking
terms
about zoning.
that's right, but it has financial implications. The whole housing issue and zoning has major financial implications. So that's why we included it in last year's document. Ditto, you also left out the offshore wind bullet. And I think if you look at some of the big issues facing the town these days, offshore wind, although it's somewhat diminished for now, as people say, but it's not gone away. So I think I would encourage you to add versions of those two bullets back in.
So on offshore wind, Mark, are you expecting new income from offshore wind?
Right now.
It's more like cost. It's the
Yeah.
flip side of that. The costs are unknown and the effect it might have on sewer lines.
But on the offshore wind, I'm sorry, on sewer rates?
So
I
So-
thought that some of the money coming from offshore wind was used to pave roads or something as the lines came up.
The
towards-
money was used in order to help supplement it. That was in the model we were working with last year. But is that still the assumption, Mark?
Yeah, we, of course, if and when that revenue ever materializes, which as Hector stated, it's kind of things are going in the other direction right now with the federal government
Right.
looking at permits that have been issued. That was our idea, was that if that project did come to fruition, the host community agreement payment under that project, we would recommend be dedicated to the sewer expansion program. But we have that option built into the CWMP funding model, but we've got it set at 0 right now. We're not including that as a revenue source.
I think you might want to have a bullet, though, talking about the uncertainty involving offshore wind right now, since it has been used as a funding mechanism for CWMP.
It hasn't been used for a funding. That's the point. I think the existing host community agreement that we have with Vineyard Wind, that was used for water, drinking water, and not sewer.
Yep.
But Hector's point is a good one. The topic of wind did not go away. And
I think it is something to keep in mind. Yeah, I agree with Hector's point. It is something that could have a fiscal impact on the town looking ahead, and it's very uncertain at the moment what's going to happen.
Right. So
So-
the a couple sentences from last year's bullet, it's essential to understand the resulting financial responsibilities of offshore wind infrastructure that may fall on the town. What are the direct and indirect costs of such support? So I think A, it's a big issue, and B, it's not going away, and C, if it comes back, there are major implications for the town from a financial standpoint. So
I
I
would
So,
like to,
so
I'd
you're
like to
saying
weigh in,
that
I'd like to weigh in on this one. The wind projects are on hold from the federal government. And I think our looking ahead should be up to date. And for the moment, the wind projects are not an issue.
I
If and when they are refinanced and reapproved by the federal government, I think it would be appropriate at that time. But it's moot for this year. And
okay.
I think
I
our
don't
looking ahead should be up to date, and reflect the work that CFAC has done. We have not worked on zoning, and yes, it does have implications. And one of the new housing is addressed in the looking ahead. So zoning is not something that we work on. We have it does have implications, and if and when it comes to CFAC is when we should address it.
I think this section is not about what CFAC has worked on or what we haven't worked on. This is regarding major issues that are facing the town in the future and their financial implications. And what this section does is just calls out for the reader some of the issues that may come that are in the background for now, as you say. I wouldn't say offshore wind is moot, Lillian. The Vineyard Wind project is under construction now. The federal government, there's just a lot of controversy around these, but these are definitely not moot. Some of the developers are have publicly said they're waiting out the Trump years and then they'll come back. So I think we ill serve the reader not to include a section, a bullet, something like what we had last year on offshore wind, and ditto on housing for low and moderate income
Well,
families.
the housing is addressed in the looking ahead if you look at it.
I think it is important to mention offshore wind and the potential for fiscal impacts because, like the last bullet point about private roads, we haven't done anything about
Right.
private roads, but that is a potential fiscal impact that we should be looking at for the town. Same with offshore wind, even though it's not actively going
Yeah.
on, it is still in the background and could have a fiscal impact on the town. The zoning thing, I don't feel strongly either way, but we did just review a project that involved major zoning components that ended up getting the town hundreds of thousands of dollars in additional revenue. So
Right.
the
That was
Wilkins project. So
that was the result of a request from town council.
That's
correct,
right.
right. But
It
so
is
that
not,
but it's
We're
related to zoning and it had a fiscal impact on the town. So I think
right.
Hector's point is just these are things that are happening in town that could have a fiscal impact that people should be aware of.
So my proposal for Tom would be to take a look at these two bullets that were in last year's report and, think about, fashion a version that could go in this report, in this section, in this year's report. That would be my request.
well, I will add this. There is a lot of interest by the residents in the great road intersections. That's a huge problem. The DCPC is a huge problem. And I think we really need to know where our boundaries are, because we really don't, we ourselves as CFAC are not fully aware and informed regularly of all the major issues that are coming up.
And again,
And
Lillian,
I think it would be prudent for us not to identify some and not identify others that are also hot issues.
okay, well,
The Great Roads is a big issue.
we've got roads
And
in here.
it will have financial implications.
So there is a bullet on private roads in this, this
But
is the final bullet in
that's
this.
not a private road. The intersections are not, the Great Roads.
Oh,
You both can be right. You both can be right. Just add more bullets. Add
Yeah.
additional
Well, yeah, there's
bullets.
room for more
Yeah,
bullets
there's room
here.
for more.
Yeah.
You can both be
Yeah.
right.
So I would turn it over to Tom and let him consider the request to add these 2 bullets that were in last year.
So I'm just gonna say, Hector, though, that I tend to share Lillian's hesitation about this. I think everything in the world has a financial impact. I can't imagine anything that does not. And I think that if we start straying from budgetary issues here and then start imagining,
Yeah.
I'm very concerned about us, operating more as as a political body rather than a financial body.
And I don't think we're operating as a political body. That would be my point. And if you want to worry about straying from issues that affect the town of Barnstable, the second bullet starts, economists are worrying that the national economy is fragile. That's a sort of
We
a
should talk about
global.
that one because not all
ma-
economists are saying that. At least you
Yeah.
have to say some.
Yeah, that's a macro statement. And yes, when you get down to the local level, there are definitely financial implications. Similarly with offshore wind, similarly with zoning and workforce housing. So that's my 2 cents.
And
I'm gonna leave it there.
and for the issues, Lillian, that you brought up too, might have bullets that can be added. With regards to the offshore wind, at one point, it did have financial implications. That offshore wind is a potential because it's on hold, from what I understand. And we removed any financial dependency with the CWMP project, so that we end up not needing any financial input coming in from the offshore wind. So we've negated the offshore wind as being a financial burden or a financial upside, but it does still have a potential.
Right.
I think that's the point. The potential impact is still there. It's up in the air right now. So
It is.
I agree with
So
Hector
leave
that
the
it should
bullet.
be a bullet,
I agree as well.
So if you want to work up a few other bullet points, Tom, and we can discuss that at the next
Okay.
meeting, and figure out what exactly we want in there.
Can I make one comment on the first bullet? Tom, you write funding for CWMP, new school buildings and major school renovations over the next decade require careful financial planning.
Right.
Has a decision been made to build a new school building, or is it just a topic for discussion?
I think it is now. I mean, when we heard from the superintendent, I thought it was a topic for discussion, but
Yeah, so maybe reword that sentence, funding for CWMP, major school renovations and possible new school buildings, something like that over the next decade, something like that.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree, because there's no set in stone plan for a new building. So possible
Right.
new building.
In
And
that
then
second,
go ahead, Frank.
in that second bullet, could it say some economists?
yep, I've made that change.
Okay.
And at the end of that little paragraph. It says additional sources of revenue. Do we ever look for ways to reduce spending?
No, we are constantly trying to spend as much as possible.
That's right.
Like every government entity, yes.
They should probably increase the CFAC compensation.
Yeah.
But Tom, I think this is a great job, and I thought everybody has offered a lot of good comments, and I look forward to the meeting on, is it October 14th, Tuesday, October 14th, to look at the next draft.
Yeah. And in the second bullet, I noticed that I used the word I said you shouldn't use. Town's fixed costs.
Oh,
I'll
that's a
fix that.
no-no. Old habits die hard, I guess.
Old habits die really hard. Well, I think that was the original bullet, so I just didn't edit
Yep.
it.
Yeah. Okay.
Mark, is there a reason why the next meeting is the 14th instead of the 6th? Because the Columbus Day is the 13th, so I don't know why we go from the 22nd, we skip the 29th like we normally would, but then we skip the 6th as well. It seems kind of odd. I don't know if we can change that if
Well,
everyone
we
wants to
usually
do the
meet
6th
the
instead.
second and fourth Mondays.
That's
Oh,
right.
that's right.
Okay.
Yeah. So the second Monday in October falls on Columbus Day, so we move that to the Tuesday, the 14th.
Okay. All
And
right.
the fourth Monday is the 27th.
Right. Gotcha. Okay, I was just asking. It seemed like a long break there. So that's fine. All right, any other comments in closing here so we can wrap things up?
If I may just say thanks, folks, for allowing me to comment as much as I did. I know I have a lot to say, and I appreciate you listening. Thanks very much.
Well, we appreciate the comments. Thank you. We're
Yeah.
glad to have
I
you on
think,
board.
yeah, Frank, I think your comments, you're coming at this with a fresh set of eyes, and, change is good and questions are good. So keep it up.
I
Yes.
thought tonight's meeting went very well. I mean, it allowed for a lot of interaction. I think that's a good
Yeah.
thing.
Yep.
I want to
Thanks for your
thank
hard work.
I want to
Thank
thank
you.
Tom for
Yeah.
this incredible work.
Yeah.
Tremendous job, Tom. Right, very
Thanks.
well done.
Yes, we appreciate it. Any other correspondence from committee members?
So I have a question. Mark, you gave a presentation to town council to the fiscal workshop last Thursday, and I wondered if you could, allow time at a future meeting to go over that with the members of the committee and maybe circulate the slide deck from that presentation, which I thought was excellent.
Sure, we'll do that we can add it to the agenda on the 14th after we finalize this project. If you'd like, I'll put it on there.
Yeah, that would be
All right.
great. Thank you.
Great.
Okay. Any communications from staff? Mark or Chris Clark has left, but
No, I was just going to mention what Hector just brought up. So we're all
okay.
set. Thank you.
Excellent. Moving right along then. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
I'm second.
Right, moved and seconded. Jeremy?
All right. Hector Gunther,
Yes, sir.
Tom Keen,
Yes.
Chris King,
Yes.
Chris Lazon,
Yes.
Frank Ward,
Yes.
Lillian Wu,
Yes.
and I am a yes.
Excellent.
Thank you.